Bless you, wonderful people. Thank you for being with us again today. Yes, yes, yes. All right. And today, wow, we're going to go into some uncharted waters, dangerous waters, even crocodiles, piranhas, and sharks, and everything else. But anyway, we're going to be all right because we covered. We covered. We're going to be all right. All right. Now, how do we start here? Because I put up the title about is she satisfied? But then when I typed it in onto the computer tonight, and it came back to is she satisfied sexually? I did not put is she satisfied sexually. So that means there's something to this. There's got to be something to this. So we're gonna go with that. We got to go with that. And one of the reasons why we put it on at 10 o'clock, it's late tonight. Children go to bed. The other children, teenagers, they could care less. Plus the fact they probably know more than we know anyway. So all good. But anyway, here we go today, coming up with a situation. And this situation is she satisfied? Period. What I had originally said, is she satisfied emotionally? Is she satisfied spiritually? Then is she satisfied sexually? How's her intimacy doing? Yeah. All right now, which is could be is she satisfied physically? Okay, because we already understand and know that there are many ways of being satisfied in different places, right? Even the Bible speaks of satisfaction. Learn how to please your wife, which is to don't let her be unsatisfied. So, how to please her? Well, happy wife, happy home. All right now. So anyway, let's get down into the business of this. I know uh, probably a lot of our Christian people don't want to watch and listen to this, but anyway, I'm going to keep it clean because I'm I'm trained. I'm going to like the other people. I am trained at this, okay, and I'm well versed as to how to use certain words. Okay, we're not going to curse or say anything really way out in left field because there are some words you cannot say over the air because they will block you. They like somebody listening. So anyway, uh, come to find out, there are situations that's going about how people can change their lifestyles, change careers, change services, change, all right? And one of the things that changed with our women back in the, let's say about what, 75 years ago, maybe 80 years ago, back in the late 40s, early 50s and stuff like that, it was a different style of woman. There's a different character that the women have. You know what I mean? They were all into a certain framework. That's all of them, but anyway, certain framework. The church, school. If they went to school, they had a job. They had to have a job. They did something to occupy themselves with, but in a nice way. Very seldom you saw the club scene. You know what I mean? And the only time really you saw the club scene then is when a band or a musician come through town or go into the area and they would put a dance, maybe what, 3 or 4 times a year. They have a big dance, a big ball they call it. You know what I mean? And you would dress up and you look your finest and everything. Oh yeah, all right. So then you go there, had a good time, had a few drinks, but they didn't have the liquor wasn't that popular back in those days. Even the the stuff you smoke wasn't that popular back in those days. It was there, but it wasn't smoked. And the other stuff that you up the nose was only for those rich people. Rich people had the money. Rich people had fancy, all this stuff, right? And you hear the people, the actresses and the artists were doing those things, but that was out of the average person's reach in the league. So a few little drinks, some beer, wine, few cocktails. They didn't know what some of these fancy martinis and all that stuff was. No, no, no. They had the regular stuff, liquor type stuff anyway. Okay, now. So then moving on, they had people that go into different job type things, right? Okay, back in those days in the 70s, early 80s, You had people like doing domestic work, and people that were rich, more or less, in different areas. Uh, Young ladies, most of the young ladies were going to college back in those days. They would come north or go to different areas, affluent type people like Boston and Rhode Island, different ones, right? New York, Chicago area, right? And they would work for these private families, and they would be maids and servant type thing. But today, you don't see that. No, 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 no. Hey, we making just as much money as the boss man making nowadays. So they ain't doing that mess no more. So in the meantime, we talking about, are they satisfied? Because they had to do certain things to keep themselves occupied in order to be satisfied, to be a survivor. And people did things to survive that you probably wouldn't hear about or hear about in the average framework of a conversation. But that's the key. That's the key to keep that conversation going so that we can always remember, but how we change the narratives of different things. So then, like I said, you had the people in different aspects of life, farmers and construction workers, miners, this and that thing, like a shop workers and stuff like that. And then you start to get secretaries, all right? So then the teachers, professionals, that you can call it, right? So now the different class of woman, and this was just recently, people, recently, in the nineties and in the nineties and 2000s. Here it is, what, 25 years later, people still haven't gotten out of some of those traditions that they was into before. So now it's completely changed in a lot of different things, and so the behavior is different. The behavior is much different because today they don't accept the things that they used to accept in the past, and they, you know, you have to go with it or leave it or suffer the consequences. And most of the time, women were more or less, in a sense of speech, more sociably. All right, I'll put it that way. Right, and they did things that we do today, but in a different way. They had more respect back in those days. They had more, how you say it, more attire that says that I'm not revealing everything to a person before we get to know each other as in marriage. So today, it's revealing more and more and more because the consciousness and the mindset is much different. His mindset is different. So therefore, the mindset is different. But on the second part of the situation is that the man has been stuck in a situation for so long that where is he? He's not keeping up with the woman that was there, that's keep evolving in different situations, different tags, different classes, different era, different sacrifices and different changes in life and the climates in life and all this stuff. No, seems like he's like been absent from a lot of different things. So therefore, whereas she's involved in something more uh, personal, more how you say spiritually, and then her emotions are different today than before. She's accepting, not to say accepting, but she's going through more changes than before. A woman in the 60s, 70s, they didn't have all this stuff going from different men and men and men and men and baby daddies and all this stuff like they did back in those days. They had them, but a woman was talked about back in those days with different baby daddies or two baby daddies or three baby daddies. Today, six, seven, eight baby daddies. It doesn't matter. So she said, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? But then again, the baby daddies back in those days didn't do the same they do doing today because their families will help take care of the girls or women there, cousins, aunties, sisters. No, no, no. Don't be beating up on my cousin. Girl, you crazy? You know what I mean? And this is what happened then. But today, she get jacked up, rolled up and down the street, rolled up and down the road and everything. and then being missing. It seems like the family is not together because most of the guys that's in the family are either incarcerated or either they have a different position in life called weakness, insecurities, and uh, mental blocks, and a whole lot of different things today than they had before. So therefore, she is now struggling in her emotions. She is struggling in her spirituality. She's struggling even in her uh, intimacies. So now she's going out for different things. She's doing this. She's trying this. She's more accessible to different men today than she used to be before. She's more accessible, even though, even though she's been taught different things. Because see, another thing too that we don't think about is like back in the 70s, early 70s, right? Now they had this law that they just passed it, but they didn't really enforce it. I'm sorry, y'all. They did not enforce that law, like that you could not talk to a girl or go underage and other stuff. There was no under 18 and under then. 18, right? Back in those days, if she was 14, 15, 16 years old, she was rolling like Proud Mary on the riverbank. So you know what I mean. But today, you can't even have a conversation with them. So these are the things that's happening. But so what happened is nowadays, so many different situations is coming about that she changed in her lifestyle, change in her ways, change in her behaviors, now change in her emotions and spirituality. The spirituality today is like, where is it? We don't have that uh, how you call it, concern like we had before. Where's the morals today as they had before? Because back in the 70s and the 80s, and early 90s, little girls started wearing thongs and what, you know what I mean? And then they got to wear these short dresses. You could see anything and everything. Then they started having these dances. Yeah, twerking and that kind of stuff. Man. Girls and young ladies making money off of the social media. So all these things started coming about after 2000, right? And then on up the line, you don't have nobody twerking like they had before. But they still doing it though, you know what I mean? But now they got the BBLs and all this stuff going and just shake it, roll it, and then who knows what. You can't tell one from another one, the boy from the girl. Can't tell uh, uh, the prostitute from the regular person. All these things now are changing in the life and lifestyle. So therefore, what we're doing now is trying to bring awareness of the fact that we have to get back to some type of a basic because the changes that's happening today is out of style, out of character, and then over the situation much further than it would be before. So therefore, people, think about it in that way. Think about it in that category. You know what I mean? So it's just the women today are more exposed than before. We didn't have that cell phone like they have today, where you can open up the cell phone, click on, click off, whatever you have to do, whatever you want to watch, whatever you want to say, anywhere in the world. You know what I mean? You can talk to Russia and China, anywhere. Boom, boom, boom. Press a button. You're right there. Before, they had all these different types of phones and everything, you know what I mean? But they were improving the technology. And improving the technology, then we have to go through different situations. So with that in mind, we just want to, like I say, let you know that there's been a change in the situation. Even though the woman maybe not as happy as she should be or could be, we understand that. We understand it because her mind, her sensuality is changing so much and so different that before women would jump at the situation like today. Oh man, you can wear anything you want to wear, show off if you want to show off, without reserve, without being corrected. Ah, even going to church, boy. Like before then, if that dress wasn't up to the knees, if it wasn't past the knees, you know, and your collar, you have to be closed up in the neckline, downstairs, and down the breast, the nipples, and everything else is showing. Even down there, is they have see-through underclothes, and they wear them outside, like at the beach, outside. Don't matter. So hey, so now you have to get adjusted. So well, don't be looking at me like that, that. But hey, cover up then, because see, a man is still has that nature of seeing. I I see you. And that doesn't mean the hospital all the time either. Right now? So think about it once for people. The woman is not really satisfied as she used to be. This is one of the reasons why she's out there doing things that she should not be doing. She doesn't have that care that she used to have. She still did things that sneaky in a way, in such a way. She still had a little uh, JoJo coming by every so often. But today, JoJo damn near lived there. Hubby at work, and he go from 9 to 5, and from 9 to 4 o'clock. She occupied. And sometimes she put on the front so good that hubby ain't even paying no attention. And this is another thing too, where we're doing this tonight, and we're going to continue to do these things to have the man to step up to become a real man, because they've been hearing this on the social media and everywhere else that the men are not really prepared to be husbands. They're not even prepared to be leaders, and yet and still seems like no one is really paying any attention to this stuff situation. Where is the uh, where's the care? Where's the concern? Where is the power of being, say, like the motivation and inspiration type thing? To have the men to step up, to become that leader, to become that husband that the woman desires, the woman deserves. Because now she's out there all by herself, and yet and still, with this medication stuff that she's been having ever since the 80s and 90s, these birth control pills, is loaded with estrogen. You know what estrogen does? All right, it help destroys those desires of the women hormones and stuff like that, right? But it increases the hormones. There you go. So now she's loaded down with estrogen, and she's good to go. She is good to go. So now she's like 25, 30 years old. She still got stuff in her system, and she good to go. So before, she was working hard. She had more physical activities, cleaning up the house, or working out in the yard, doing this, doing that. She would never sit down and doing nothing except for watching the soap operas. That's it. I'm telling you. But she had work to do, and she did her work. But yet, still, every so often, hey, I'm gonna tell you something. Sis had something going on too. But today, sis will pick up the phone and say, I'm 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 dropping by, I'm so in a hot minute, right? And she will do that 2 or 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. She will she will come by. Yes. So therefore, this is one thing that's happening all day long. All right now. So once these things are happening, you cannot stop them from happening. So anyway, just want to bring this message to you a little bit today, because I see that not too many people be watching it. But anyway, we come to just let you know that there's a difference in the situation, a different in the style of people, there's different in the class of people, there's different in the desires, especially of our ladies. And always is a difference in the context and the maturity of our men. Men have to learn to be men. They have to learn to be husbands, and then Their leadership quality is down to zero effect. That's it. I'm sorry, people. That's it. All is to it. So when this zero is come down to no veil, then what is a woman going to do? She more or less in a survival mode. And this is what's happening today. Too many women out there that's doing things that she shouldn't be doing, taking advantage of a situation, taking advantage of this, and then she say, "I don't know what happened," and she doesn't. She doesn't. So anyway, well, thanks for calling anyway. So I understand. I'll call you back in a few. Okay, if you want to hang up, it's good. It's all right, no problem. I'll talk to you later. All right. So anyway, these are the things that happen in life, and that's why we have to continue to be there for each other in life. Be that support. Be that strength, and then stop condemning and criticizing, condemning each other for wrongdoings that they do. Because we take too much, they say, condemn a woman for being messed up, condemning a man for messing up. Like, wait a minute, who are you? We don't have a heaven or hell put no one in. So therefore, people, think about these things before we go off the deep end. Think about it before we commit murder on other people. All right? Show that love, show the compassion. And then be a leader, be a guide. This is the corruption and the incorrection that's happening in our life today. We are not in that place to show that we have the fulfillment of the Most High God to be there to help each other. So, with that in mind, I hope to see you sometime later soon. Then we'll have to do these messages again and again and again. Because, see, like, no one give a damn, no one cares. So, hey, I say each person is their own thing, own self, own position. And then yet and still, consequences, consequences are not even being talked about or told about or said something to about each one situation. We must understand and to know that there are consequences to all of these bad things that's happening. The Heavenly Father, the Jehovah God, is not happy with some of the things, with none of the things that we do that is wrong. All sin is of the devil. And he said that the wages of sin, the penalty of sin is death. So, hey, think about it too. And you're out there giving it up without thinking about it, giving it up without being concerned or considerate, giving it up without telling your husband that, hey, baby, you're missing out on something. Come on, let's talk. You know what I mean? That's it. Let the dude know that, hey, he's slipping and he's sliding and he's slacking. That's it. Jump, do something. Go to the gym. Get a little rest. Oh, well, I'm so tired. Well, then, baby, you have to live by yourself because she is rolling. But yet and still, she have to tone it down too, so they can meet each other at least halfway. It's one of the things where it said 50-50 is a good thing in a good situation. With that in mind, wonderful people, thank you for being with us today, and get an opportunity to go to my website, people, the letter N, L-U-V, peopleinlove.com. Right. And then take a look at our download. Download the book, that is, all right? A PDF, 50 some pages, right? And guess what? You understand that, hey, this is something that will need it. Information, and it's very reasonable. We're here not to try to sell you something, but yes, we are too, because Jesus came to sell us a way into eternal life. And guess what? We heard him, we still read him, and still going down to the fire and brimstone. What a shame. Don't make no sense. Don't make no sense. Because heaven really, unless you and used to the how the joy and the praises, it's boring. It's boring. So and hell is even worse. But we don't think about that until we get there. So think about it, people. Check it out, and I'll talk to you soon and later. All right. Peace, grace, and love. Bye now. All right.